So usually a stress comes and subsides. It's just part of life, and it also keeps us kicking. Yeah? We need a certain level of stress also to be really there, yeah? And to act. But when stress does not subside, when it's ongoing stress, it can cause a lot of damage. And this is why today we talk about the topic of long-term stress exposure, how stress works in the body, and what happens when we are exposed to stress for a really prolonged period of time. What effects does it have, and how we can counter it, how we can come back to a non-stress level and heal also the damages that were caused by long-term stress, or prevent those damages to happen in the first place. So either you want to prevent, you want to use these things for prevention. It's the best, of course. When you already are in some level of suffering, it's exactly the same thing can be used as treatment, self-treatment. So we have two main players in the body who are responsible for our stress management. One is known very well. It's adrenaline. And I think everybody, especially people who had an accident or got surprised, maybe not the best surprise, know how it feels. It works really fast because adrenaline is not only a hormone, but also a neurotransmitter. It's produced by the adrenal gland. So it's right at the rim of our kidney. And when adrenaline is released, it interacts with all kinds of systems in our body, with the digestion, with the perspiration, with the heart rate, with the blood sugar levels, with the breathing, and with the brain waves and the activity of our brain. Also with our muscles. For example, the blood sugar levels rise so that we have more energy available. And where does the sugar go? It does not go to your liver. It does not really go to your small intestine. It mainly goes to the skeleton muscles, so that you can act. When you want to extinguish a fire, it's nice to do some emotional work on the liver, but it's just not the right moment. The best is your muscles have a lot of energy and you can extinguish the fire quickly. When the fire is extinguished, the adrenaline is used up through the physical work, and then everything regulates down again. Your heart rate will slow down again, your breathing will slow down again, your blood sugar levels decline again, and your brain can work more efficiently again. Because when we are in stress and we have a stress response, the thinking is actually deleted. It's stopped, no thinking anymore, but please react. So we have a lot of programs already there, ready to go, and we use these things to react. That's why it's called a reaction. In order to create a good life, of course, you should not be reactive. You should act. Use your willpower, use your free mind, decide what you want, and then act and not react. That's the difference. When people talk about life is living me, I'm not living life. It's the difference between reaction and action. So adrenaline does mostly not really make a big problem, because it's quickly there, it's used, and then it's gone again. But there is another stress hormone in our body, and it's called cortisol. Cortisol is also produced at the kidneys, at the adrenal cortex. It's just right next to it. And cortisol gets released when stressors are there for a longer period of time. It also takes longer to get released. The releasing of cortisol is actually orchestrated by our brain, the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus produces a precursor for the cortisol, and via a very thick and big nerve, the biggest in our body, the nervus vagus, it goes from the reptile brain all the way down to our solar plexus. And the solar plexus is connected to all our visceral organs. All the abdominal organs and the kidneys are also there. So information coming down to the kidney, please produce the cortisol now. It takes a little more time. It's not as fast as adrenaline. And it also takes longer time to subside. But it interacts with the same systems. It also will bring up your blood pressure, accelerate your heart rate. It will bring up your blood sugar. It will increase your perspiration. It will reduce energy from your internal organs and bring more energy to your skeleton muscles. It will change the workings of your brain from wherever you are, whatever brainwaves you're having, when the stress kicks in, it will bring you into better brainwaves, okay? Into stress brainwaves. And again, the same reactive programs will start to happen. This is also very good. Cortisol is our friend. Cortisol is very much needed for any action. So when we wake up in the morning, very naturally, cortisol levels rise, so that we're ready to move, ready to live the day. And when the day comes to an end, in the evening, the cortisol levels decline. And we go more towards relaxation, because with lower cortisol levels, exactly the opposite will happen, right? The breath rate will decline, the heart rate will decline, blood sugar levels will decrease, and your brain function will change towards opening, opening up. Get rid of the beta brainwaves, start the alpha brainwaves, which are responsible not only for relaxation and first steps towards meditation and first meditative states, but also for sleep. So it makes total sense that cortisol has its place. Everything has its place at the right time, and it should not be there at the other time. It's all according to the circadian cycle, the 24-hour cycle, where all our bodily functions are orchestrated along 24-hour clock. So cortisol is not bad, not at all. When cortisol levels are low, or let's say cortisol is released and it's used up, then it's actually helpful against inflammation. It even helps our immune system. The problem occurs when the cortisol levels remain high. When the stress does not subside, then it has the opposite effect. Then it causes inflammation and it hinders the immune system from functioning normally. So what can happen when we are in constant stress and there is just no pause? There is no relaxation. It's just no end to it. Oh, tomorrow the news again. No, I just never feel good again. So what happens? Our body is very intelligent. So it will react in the appropriate way, which means when a trigger is always there, you become numb to it. So our cells start to become numb to the cortisol. But the stress is still there and it's detected. So what does the body do? The cells don't react anymore to the cortisol. What do? I produce more. Just I pump out more. More stress hormones. So at some point the cells have to react again. And they do. But that leaves you with accelerated levels of cortisol, which always have the same physiological effect. So you stay in a stress mode for a prolonged period of time. In some cases for years, for years and years. And when you stay in reactive mode for a prolonged period of time, you cannot access higher cognitive functions for a prolonged period of time, then these functions will be reduced. Nature is, when you don't need it, then delete it. It just gets thrown out. So you will become less intelligent, less capable of thinking, less capable of being creative. You will be less intuitive. So this is called cortisol resistance. It works a little bit similar like diabetes, but just another pathway. And it means that the hypothalamic, pituitary, and adrenal axis, this is from the two glands in the brain to our adrenal glands at the kidneys, all this pathway is disrupted. It's not functioning anymore. So the feedback system, hey, there was enough stress now, please stop producing cortisol. We already had enough, and so we can react. It doesn't work anymore. The communication is disrupted. And when it's come to that, then you actually need triggers to bring it back to normal. So it's like the body has forgotten how to do it right. It has stayed in this, let's say, it's a rescue system. So just produce more, and then we have the same output at some point. And so we stay there, just stay there. So what will happen when this dysfunction is there, when the stress remains high, when the cortisol levels remain high? It really has a disruptive effect on your circadian cycle. As I said, everything has its place according to the time, according to the sun and the moon cycle, of course. So 24-hour cycle, all our organs, our bodily functions are harmonized with the 24-hour cycle we live in. Not only ours, but every living being has a biorhythm, which is a 24-hour rhythm. 24, a little bit more actually, but we use 24 hours now. So the circadian cycle, what does it orchestrate? It orchestrates all the hormones, the digestion, the libido, the sleep, the cognitive action. If there is healing, if there is output, everything is coordinated there. So when you have a disturbed circadian cycle, you will always have multiple outputs, multiple effects. For example, a problem with sleep. This is one of the strongest indicators also that you have a cortisol problem, maybe even a cortisol resistance, when you're actually exhausted, but you can't sleep at night. Or you wake up in the middle of the night and you're very alert, although you just had 2 hours of sleep yet. This is very typical. Then you're tired during the day, you're nervous during the night. No one can recover like this. So this has further problems as a result. For example, higher inflammation rates. Not only a big inflammation in the elbow and it's swollen, but this is actually nice, because you can see it and you can treat it. But the hidden inflammation, microinflammation in the body, small inflammatory processes all over the body, causing all sorts of symptoms, but it's very difficult to detect by doctors, by allopathic doctors. Very difficult, because they need strong symptoms to know what's going on. So these constant microinflammation really grind away your mental health. This is one point. There is no depression without an inflamed brain. So this is really going to the mood a lot. But it also, over time, you just keep it up. It really promotes diabetes type 2. As I said, the hormone disruption, insulin is a hormone, and the cells get exhausted. Then, of course, the cognitive decline that I mentioned already. Where will it go? Maybe you're just a little bit brain foggy, or you cannot concentrate, you might be confused, a little bit nervous, a little bit moody, but where does it go? Just keep on counting the time forward, and you will be at the neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer. Nobody wants that. Also, constant inflammation causes cancer. And of course, because there's constantly something to work against, autoimmune responses. When there is microinflammation all over the body, something needs to work on. And then it gets exhausted, and out of balance. And then the immune system starts to attack your own system. So it's not difficult to imagine that this is really exhausting. And fatigue and chronic exhaustion is also very much a symptom of this cortisol resistance or this long-term cortisol exposure. The mood swings are there, the weakened immune system, which leads to not only autoimmune diseases or chronic diseases, but also to reoccurring inflammation or reoccurring infections. And when people have bladder infection 5 times a year, it's not normal. Yeah? And of course, the Asians say this is where the soul resides. This is the center point for our body, digestive disorders. And everybody who's had constipation or diarrhea knows that this is very much going to the mood. And you really don't feel good when the digestion is not good. Yeah, this is where we live from. Yeah, we have to